Today, we're talking about a head-on collision. But, it's not the kind you're thinking of. Not two cars, no. This is a collision between a revolutionary, life-saving technology and, well, a massive, century-old industry that's about to be completely turned on its head.
All right, to really get why this matters so much, we have to start with a number. 39,000. Just let that sink in for a second. That's how many Americans died in car crashes just last year. I mean, think about it. That's more than homicides, plane crashes, and natural disasters all put together.
And, a quote from a New York Times editorial really drives us home. For our kids, for young adults, just getting from point A to point B is one of the riskiest things they do. So yeah, this goes way beyond just numbers on a page. We're talking about a full-blown public health crisis.
I mean, look at this. We've all seen a scene just like this, right? It plays out every single day on our roads. And here's the kicker. The really hard truth, over 90% of this chaos, it's not bad weather, it's not the car breaking down. Nope, it's us. It's human error. That is the single biggest reason for crashes. So let's talk about the full scale of this crisis. Because while the loss of life is absolutely devastating, that's not even the whole story. The financial costs, the cost to society, they are just mind-boggling.
Get this, $1 trillion. That's the combined toll. We're talking economic costs, quality of life impacts, the whole shebang from these crashes. Every single year. To give you some perspective, that is more than the entire U.S. military budget. Just wow.
Okay, so that brings us to the solution. And listen, autonomous vehicles, they're not just some cool futuristic gadget so you can check your email on the way to work. No, they're being engineered as a direct, powerful answer to this massive public health emergency we've been talking about.
Now, to really wrap our heads around this tech, we need to be on the same page. So, the Society of Automotive Engineers, SAE for short, came up with this handy 6-level scale. It's pretty straightforward. It starts at level 0. That's your basic everyday car where the human does everything. And it goes all the way up to the holy grail, level 5, which is a true driverless car that can go anywhere, anytime. Right now, most of the cars you see with these features are hanging out at level 1 or 2.
And this is where we are right now. You can see a lot of familiar names on this list, right? You've got your Teslas, your Fords. They're solidly in that level 2 camp, which is partial automation. But check this out. Mercedes and BMW, they're already pushing into level 3. That means the car can actually take full control in certain situations. So this isn't some far-off sci-fi dream. This stuff is literally in the showroom today.
So what's the big promise here? What's the end game for all this tech? Well, it's pretty simple. If you can engineer human error out of the equation, you could see, and this is a huge number, an 80% reduction in how often accidents happen. That's not just an improvement, that is a complete game changer for road safety.
But, and this is a big but, here's that collision I was talking about at the beginning. This amazing, life-saving solution, it creates an absolute existential crisis for the auto insurance industry. I mean, their entire business model is built on one thing, the fact that humans make mistakes.
And the logic here, it's actually incredibly simple. It's like a chain reaction that's about to totally reshape a multi-billion-dollar market.
Okay, so it all starts here. Safer cars mean fewer accidents, right? And fewer accidents, well, that means fewer insurance claims. It's a straight line, a direct cause and effect.
And that direct line leads us to this number, 60%. According to a really deep analysis by KPMG, the personal auto insurance market could shrink by 60%. Let me be clear, that's not a recession or a downturn, that's a collapse. KPMG's report even created this fictional case study, putting you in the shoes of an insurance CEO in the year 2030. And they basically said that as safety gets better and accidents just plummet, the money, the premiums that keep the whole industry running, it just dries up. Okay, so the market is shrinking, but at the same time, the very idea of risk and liability is getting a complete rewrite. It all boils down to one huge question. If a self-driving car does crash, who's at fault? Who foots the bill? And you can really see that shift happening right here. If you look back at 2013, personal auto insurance was like almost 90% of the pie. But fast forward to the projection for 2040, and whoa, it drops like a rock. So where does that risk go? Well, it shifts over to commercial auto, think fleets of robo-taxis, and really interestingly, to products liability. That means we're insuring the car makers and the software companies who are now, for all intents and purposes, the driver.
And you know what happens when a traditional market gets disrupted, right? New players jump into the game. Suddenly you've got automakers thinking, hey, why don't we just sell the insurance with the car? And then you have the big tech companies who have all this incredible driving data thinking they could probably do it better and cheaper.
What you end up with is a totally new and honestly pretty brutal landscape. That old world of lots of different regional insurance companies, gone. It gets replaced by a market of what KPMG calls scale whales. Just these massive, giant companies that can survive on tiny margins. And then these little super specialized niche players. For everybody stuck in the middle, the writing's on the wall. Eat or be eaten. So you hear all this, right? This massive existential threat is barreling down the road. You'd think the insurance industry would be in an absolute frenzy, preparing for what's coming. Well, the data tells a very different story.
Just listen to this. A KPMG survey asked insurance execs about this, and nearly 3/4 of them said they feel unprepared for this change. But this is the part that blows my mind. 68%, that's more than 2/3 of them, have set aside exactly $0 to get ready for it. Zero. There's a huge disconnect between what's coming and how ready the industry is.
But let's pull back for a second and remember what this is all really about. Yes, this disruption is going to be painful for an entire industry, no doubt, but it's all in service of a much bigger, more important goal. This quote really puts it perfectly. We're talking about building a future where we just no longer accept that thousands of deaths are the price we have to pay to get around.
So when you boil it all down, technology is forcing this incredible trade-off. Do we save lives or do we save an industry? As these safer cars completely rewrite the rules of the road, that big crash I mentioned, the one with the old way of doing business, it's not just possible, it's inevitable. And that leaves us with just one question. Are we ready for it?